day throughout July, there's a whole team of workers putting the Tour de France show on the road. And that means you've got to also take it off again. Teams of workers suffer pain like the riders as they fight against time to erect and dismantle the installation that makes this the most completing sporting roadshow. Another team sets up the new start venues every day. While oblivious to the long hours spent working through the night, the yellow jersey rides in to make it all worthwhile. He's the reason for the Tour de France. For everyone, another long day is about to begin. You know, 1 hour before the Tour de France starts every day, the organisation provides free of charge for everybody, the riders and the journalists, a breakfast. And you have a typical French breakfast of poisson, coffee, cereal, and of course a delivery of all the day's newspapers. It really is a most leisurely beginning. But for me, in an hour's time, I'll be in the backseat of a car, travelling at 60 miles an hour in luxurious circumstances. But for the riders, for them, they'll be back in the saddle for yet another very hard day. You know, life's not all sweat, blood and tears in the Tour de France. The sun is shining, there's a nice day in prospect, there's a general feeling of ambience in the Tour de France. Every day the pack rolls out of town, the colourful cavalcade is ready to give another day of entertainment. Time to laugh off the wounds of the race so far. Doesn't the yellow jersey know it's illegal to give interviews on the move? Time for a change? Strange place to keep your shirt. And this is not the time to try on a new pair of shoes, surely. Well, breakfast was a bit rushed this morning. A tablet might help. And if you live on the route, why not stop and say hi? And if you can't go home, send a message. If you're a real star, then the whole town turns out. Remember the motto, don't drink and drive, you might spill it. The whistle is not for the race, just the guests. Brothers Pascal and Jerome Simon arrived, sent ahead with the blessing of the race. For these French stars, it's a major happening. Oh yes, it really is quite fun riding the Tour de France. After all, nobody ever really races in the morning.
Hello, baby!
For the professionals in the Tour, these are ways of releasing tension. But there's a serious side too. Ditches are everywhere, and riders seem to find most of them. After breaking it, you've got to fix it, but on the move. There's no time to stop. But if everything else fails, a new bike is the only answer. Lunch is taken at a snatch, and if you miss, you'll be hungry later. There's no time for French etiquette either, just get it down. The water carriers of the Tour build up a reservoir of supplies. If you run out of pockets, there's always room for the bottle down your back or behind your ear. Just remember what goes in. It's enough to make the sunflowers blush, but not enough to stop them watching the Tour pass by. But no one should forget, the Tour de France is a race, and when the weather changes to its worst, the race just goes on, even though the crowds can seek the comfort of a shelter. After 2 sunny weeks, the Tour de France has run into its worst weather for many, many years. The leaders cannot afford to make mistakes. In these conditions, anything can happen, as the torrential rain makes the roads treacherous and the riders more conscious of survival. Was this still a race, or were we now at sea? When the road has disappeared between 12 inches of water, one wishes they could walk on it. But near the end, the System U team attack, but they should be careful not to maroon their leader in yellow. But whatever the dramas are during a day in the Tour de France, one thing is certain: the finish line will not come soon enough for many of the riders who make the Tour de France something quite special.
That does it for today's adventure. If you're new here, please subscribe. Take it one step further and ring that notification bell. And if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a big old like and a thumbs up. It lets me know you care. I'll see you in the next video. Ride on.